Hello, my dear lovely students. I am Kanksha Gandhi, as a part of ITRC Technologies Private Limited, are going to give you technical presentation on communication process. So let's begin our first slide with what is communication. Communication is derived from a Latin word which means to share. So it is the sharing of information between different individuals and which includes the sharing of ideas, concepts, imaginations, behaviors, and written content. So, it is simply an act of transferring the information, that is, sending or receiving of the information from one place to another or from one person to another through telephone lines or computers. So let's move on towards the next slide, which tells us about the communication process. The communication process is cyclic in nature as it begins with the sender and ends with the receiver in the form of feedback. So the main motive of the process is to provide the information to the individual party and have them understand it. This process includes certain parts which are as follows. One is the sender, the person that is delivering a message to the receptant. Receptant means the receiver. Second one is the message. This refers to the information that the sender is relaying to the receiver. Third one is the channel of communication. This is the transmission or method of delivering the message. Next one is decoding. This is the interpretation of the message. Decoding is basically performed by the receiver only. Then comes the receiver. The receiver is the person who receives the message. And then comes the feedback. In some instances, the receiver might have feedback or a response for the sender. So let's study these parts in details. So here we start the communication process in detail with sender. Sender is an individual who initiates, that is, who starts a message, and sender is known to be as a source, communicator, or the first party. So sender may be or can be a individual, group, or organization. Then comes the encoding. The sender encodes the message where he uses certain words and non-verbal methods such as symbols, signs, body gestures, etc. to translate the information into message. The sender's knowledge, skills, perceptions, background, competencies, etc. have a great impact on the success of the message. So senders encode the message with the help of certain words and non-verbal methods. Next come the message. Once the encoding is finished, it is through the message the sender conveys his or her ideas to the receiver so that the message has to be prepared keeping in mind the background of the receiver. Next come the channel, which is known to be as the medium as well. So it is the way in which the quoted message is transferred from one place to another. In other words, channel is the medium through which the message travels and get transferred from one place to another. Then comes the receiver. The receiver is also known to be a second party because in the communication process as it begins, the sender becomes the first party and the receiver becomes the second party. Receiver is the actual destination in the communication process and receiver is the person who receives the message. If the receiver do not have the ability to read, write and understand the message, then he or she cannot decode the message. Decoding is the process in which the receiver gets the message and interprets it so that it can be understood exactly in the same manner as being sent by the sender, so that it can be translated into meaningful information. Next comes the feedback. So, feedback is the final step of the process that ensures the receiver has received the message and interpreted it correctly as it was intended by the sender. It is the check on how successful the message has been communicated and to what extent the receiver has understood the message. So, the feedback can be in the form of long-term feedback, which take a long time to respond. Then it could be in the form of short-term feedback, which takes a short time to respond. So this was the process of communication, and in between the process of communication, noise take place. So noise, it is known to be as an hindrance, barriers or obstructions in the communication process, which prevents the communicator from imparting his ideas, thoughts clearly to the receiver. As a result, it prevents from achieving the desired results as shown in the figure. So I hope you like the technical presentation on the communication process, and thanks for your patient understanding and have a nice day.